Hearts were warmed when our Penguins won a big one, right?
You got it. That's it. The Pens took advantage of the breaks that came their way this afternoon to dispose of the Boston Bruins 5-2 at the Civic Arena. Right winger Rick Kehoe tallied twice for the Pens, who got great goaltending from Dennis Herron in his first net action in 2 weeks. A crowd of 11,000 plus looked on with the score 1-0 in the second period. Bruins defenseman Brad Park falls down, allowing captain Ron Schock to score an unassisted shorthanded goal to make it 2-0. Then, 7 minutes later, with a two-man edge, Kehoe tallies number 21 with an assist from Faubert and Stackhouse to make it 3-0 Kehoe number 8. The Stackhouse Packhouse was on hand, 11,819 braving the chilly arena temperatures to watch the Pens win their 22nd game of the season. And our very own Myron Cope has decided that the typical Penguin fan is a classic manic depressant. So, at least this weekend, provided him with a good emotional workout.
Not manic depressant, manic depressive.
Oh, manic depressive.
Yeah, he gets depressed. He doesn't depress somebody else.
Oh.
Well, maybe he does, but it means up and down, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you explain that, please?
Yeah.
I'll sit here and watch you.
I learned that in Psychology 1. Okay, by any reasonable judgment, the Penguins had a successful weekend at the arena. They split with two such tough clubs as the Philly Flyers and the Boston Bruins, and a weekend total attendance of 28,000 make for a successful weekend indeed. It was evidence that the Pens are a club worth seeing and that interest in hockey is hitting its midwinter stride. Meantime, one thing we've noticed is that hockey fans, at least Pittsburgh hockey fans, are possibly the most manic depressive fans in the kingdom of sports. When the Penguins play well, their fans go berserk with joy, but when the Pens smell out the joint, as they did last night, their fans ask themselves what they're doing there and why they haven't sworn off the Penguins for life. It's as though they expect the Pens to be at the top of their game every time they hit the ice. Although, come to think of it, maybe that's not too much to ask, considering the salaries that hockey players are paid. At any rate, the increasing frequency with which the Pens have been winning is, of course, the best tonic for their manic depressive fans. And speaking of those fans, it occurred to us while watching Saturday's game that one thing hockey might do for their fans is put the names of their players on their shirts. Visiting teams make so few appearances in each town that hardly anyone knows all the players on site, yet hockey persists in the ancient practice of trying to sell every last program at the expense of making it easy for the customers to know who's on the ice. This, mind you, at a time when hockey's trying desperately to develop new fans. It tells you something about the 19th century leadership that hockey gets from Clarence Campbell's league headquarters. This is Myron Cope on sports.
Is a martini a depressant or depressive?
That's interesting.
We'll explore that next week, okay? With injuries to Ed Van Impe, Dave Burrows, and now Don Awrey, the Penguins have just 4 defensemen available to take the ice. Awrey, who got hurt last night in the loss to the Flyers, is a former Boston Bruin, so he didn't get a chance today to play against his former mates.
Well, there's no doubt I spent my, 10 years. They were a good 10 years in Boston, and I suppose that would have to be my number one team as far as allegiance too, but yet, wherever I go now, wherever I hang my hat, whatever team I play for, I have allegiance to them. So right now it's with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Penguins are not the same club they were at the start of the season. What do you think the reason for the change is?
Well, I'd be able to think they're not the same team because we weren't playing very well at the start of the season. We were trying to get involved with a defensive style of play, which we've done a pretty good job with. There's always room for improvement, and every game we can see things that we've been doing at the 40th game that we weren't doing in the 10th game, and I think that's the improvement.
Is this club a Stanley Cup contender?
Well, we could surprise a lot of people. I'm just not quite sure that where we're playing as of right now that we are, but what can happen in the next 30 games could be the telltale.
What do you know about the injury? Any diagnosis yet?
Not really. I saw the doctor prior to the game today, and I couldn't sleep all night, and basically it's right on top of my shoulder, and I have to have x-rays tomorrow, and they'll determine what's going to happen.
Hockey scoreboard: Pens 5, Boston 2. Philly and Washington played to a 5-5 tie this afternoon. Los Angeles at Buffalo postponed because of snow. The Rangers topping St. Louis tonight 5-2. Montreal shading the Islanders 2-1. It was Chicago 9, Cleveland 3 final score. Minnesota, Colorado scoreless into the second period.
and he's worked very hard. Now we have a lineup change out there. The Ron Schock, Chapman, and Bayanchin line against the check-in line and scoring line of Gare, Luce, and Ramsey.
You know, there's something to be said about penalty minutes, and it's usually revealed at the end of a season that teams up in the higher echelon of penalty minutes usually are the better teams. It is interesting to note the Penguins are now last in the National Hockey League with team penalties totaling 56, which would indicate something. I don't know exactly what, Jack, but maybe a lack of aggressiveness or something.
Well, that's possible. They haven't had a major penalty this year, I don't think, Sam. They've had all minors, and usually, as you point out, penalties are taken by aggressiveness.
Ori had the puck slip out of the Buffalo zone, and he knocked it back in with Bayanchin trapped offside. And so the face-off just outside the blue line at the Buffalo end of the ice with 17:15 to go here in the third period. Kelly, Anderson, Bayanchin twice, the Pittsburgh goal scorers. Martin, Korab, and Robert for Buffalo if you joined us late. Gavermont off the sideboards and the skate there of Danny Gare. Ori shot it in again offside.
On the out-of-town scoreboard, Sam, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs tying up their game in the second period. It's North Stars 3 and Maple Leafs 3. The Bruins are now leading the Rangers 3-1, and the Canadians playing the Blackhawks in Chicago. It's 2-2 tie in the second period.
Dee Thompson will have the finals, I'm sure, of those games on Instant News at 11 o'clock tonight, along with Bev Byer, Adam Lynch, Ken Phillips, and the Instant News team. And incidentally, Kenny, if you're watching, a lot of folks here in Buffalo asking about you. But Kenny spent a number of years in this area of the country. Oh, short shot hit the side of the post, I believe. And it's finally cleared out to center. Korab. Right on from center ice. Dunk Wilson leaves it there for Don Ori. Off to Davy Burrows. And it's Fogelin who plays it at center ice. Buffalo fans thought he had a good chance to keep it in, but he didn't. And Bayanchin now and Gare jam, and Luce gets into it. And Bayanchin working the puck along the boards. They exchange elbows with Don Luce, and the play is whistled down, and Hogarth, I think, has them both for elbowing Wayne Bayanchin and Don Luce. So there's a break in the action. The score, the Pens 4 and Buffalo 3. Room. Gilbert moving down. In behind the goal, put it out in front. Here's Fogelin at the point. Tipped off his stick by LaRouche. Pierre fighting for it. Got it to Keogh and back to LaRouche again. He's looking for help. Anderson wisely trailing the play, but not getting himself too much out of position. Here's Pronovo just coming over the boards. Good check by Korab, who keeps him away from the puck. Crony finally gets into the corner with Korab, and they tie it up with 30 seconds to go. You're watching Penguin Hockey on your instant news station, WIIC-TV, Channel 11 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. With Jack Riley, this is Sam Nover, our second telecast of the year. And I hope you'll be around on Friday night, November 26th. When we broadcast out of that great complex outside of Cleveland.
Well, that's right. And Sam, as you pointed out to the fans who tuned in late, we had 5 goals in the first 4 minutes and 45 seconds. 2 in the first 41 seconds. The Penguins were down 1-0 after 13 seconds of the first period. However, at the moment, which is the most important, they're ahead 4-3.
Here's Fogelin at the far point. That puck was rolling on him. It was standing on end. Here's Lorentz with a backhander. Hit the side of the goal. The fans thought he got it in, but it hit the side of the net. Anderson trying to work Savard over. Kept in by Fogelin again. Stackhouse knocks it down, has trouble getting back up on his feet. Shot right out in front. Here's a chance for the Sabres. Lorentz tried to jam it in. Anderson has lost his stick. Russ Anderson playing without a stick. Cross rink to Savard. His quick drive, and the rebound came by Lorentz. Anderson is down. Savard has it behind the goal. Comes out to Spencer, and now it's finally Corrigan. And Mike Corrigan loses his stick and kicks it ahead to center. Anderson has gone back to the bench and gotten a new stick. Corrigan now gets one for himself. And Anderson poke checks Fogelin as he tried to get into the Pittsburgh end. Finally shot in, and everybody's got a stick now. Boy, did Gare run into Dunk Wilson. Gare and Wilson, there they go. Gare and Wilson. And the dunker working Gare over pretty good. Pounding away. Well, Wilson was fair bait in behind the goal. And Gare took advantage of it, trying to get the Sabres alive. But Wilson would have none of it, and he started to flail away. And he got Gare a couple of good ones, Jack.
Well, that's right. Danny Gare went in. Now, whether he charged him, he's fair game, Sam, but you cannot charge him. And Gare went in pretty hard. I don't think there's going to be a penalty on that play, but we'll wait and see what happens. As you can see on your screen, the linesmen are having a hard time prying Danny Gare and Dunk Wilson apart. Both linesmen in there. And Dunk Wilson has to be a tired boy right now. That takes a lot out of you, and we got to give him a lot of marks for his effort there. We'll wait and see what penalties are called, Sam, but obviously...
Oh, Gare just got a misconduct. Gare just took his glove and flung it, or it was the mask of Wilson, I believe, and he threw it against the glass. And for that, he will get an additional misconduct to any other penalty that he might have accrued during that little exchange with Dunk Wilson. But one thing's for sure, we're going to come out with a slight advantage, I would think, Jack.
I would think so, Sam. We'll wait for Ron Hogarth to make the call, but we'll wait till we get back.
Well, let him straighten out the gloves and sticks, and we'll be back with the Pens still leading 4-3 right after this. Organized again, there are still sticks and gloves strewn out all over the ice, and let's take a look at it again and see how and why it all came about.
Well, we see Danny Gare going in, and he takes a shot at Dunk Wilson. He comes down, and Dunk comes up flailing. He's got him by the neck, and you can see the goal stick go, Gare's stick go, and now they're locked in battle behind the goal. And the mayhem is going. As you can see, Dunk is getting some strong rights in there who would make Cassius Clay feel real proud.
There's Anderson out in front looking for somebody. And Corrigan and Stackhouse, and all the gloves come off. Almost had something with Stackhouse and Korab. There you see Stacky. Now, Korab comes in at the upper right portion of your screen, and that almost started into something, but they just held on. And the only thing we really had was between Gare and Wilson, and now you have a good look at Danny Gare, who's got to be tired also, although Wilson has played spectacularly tonight.
Conduct, and is thrown out of the game. Danny Gare leaving the ice and getting a big hand from the partisan Buffalo fans. Gordy Laxton is going in there, and a tough break for the kid to go in there cold. However, the Penguins have a man advantage, as you pointed out, Sam, for 2 minutes. They have an opportunity to increase this lead, and this would take a little pressure off the new goalkeeper if they did.
Well, I must confess, Jack, I have never done a game where a goaltender got a game misconduct, and I was curious as to whether Gordy would get any kind of warm-up time at all. It does not appear as if he will. It would be similar to just a coach's option in changing a goaltender in which no warm-up time is allowed. In the case of a goaltender injury, I believe.
They must be replaced immediately, Sam. There's no more warm-ups even on injuries.
Okay, well, so there it is.
Okay, we're going to get it once more here, and look at Gare go in, and obviously he charged Wilson. Now, he is allowed to make contact, but he took 3 or 4 strides. There's where the fight breaks out, and Dunk gets some good ones in. And the only thing I can feel is why he got the misconduct. We won't see the end of this tape probably, but he kept it up after the referees apparently told him to break it up. And I agree with you, Sam. I don't think I've seen a goalkeeper thrown out for a long time.
Well, we're back live. The Penguins with the man advantage at the moment, looking to enlarge their 1-goal lead, a rather precarious lead at that. Wilson leaves having made 37 saves of the 40 shots that were thrown his way. He has really been a superb acquisition for the Pens. Bianchi in behind the Buffalo goal. Desjardins leaves it there. Slapped out by Height, not out of the zone. Here's a weak shot. Desjardins blocks the short side. And finally, this puck comes out to the Penguin end. Anderson and Stackhouse on defense. Bianchi, Apps, and Pronovo up front looking for what could really be a big goal if they can get it. 1:17 to go in the Penguin power play. As we approach the midway point here in the 3rd period. Here's Anderson lugging the puck up the center, shoots it into the corner. No Penguin around, and it's swatted down the ice by Craig Ramsey. Now it's Anderson who'll try to start it. Near side to Pronovo. Goes in behind Gordy Laxton. Center ice. Pronovo gives it off to Apps. His shot. Stick saved by Desjardins. Apps and Bianchi converge on Fogelin and Loose, and they tie it up for a